Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. It is September the 16th. Make sure I said it right. Yeah, it's September the 16th. I hate when I got to look at it like you didn't just see it before you started. Sometimes that's just how it works. So it's Friday. Man, this music is loud, like too loud. I didn't like that. Um, it's Friday. It's the end of the week. For those who like to wait for the end of the week, for those who like to work towards the end of the week, this is a day that you have been working towards. This is the day that you have been working for, waiting for, whatever it is to you. Today is your day. So let's be blessed that we're here able to see it, because there was someone who didn't make it yesterday. Shoot, there's someone who didn't even make it to 7:30 because it was just their time. Because this is not our time right now, we're able to see one another. We're able to hear. Well, you're able to hear because I can't hear you. So you're able to hear me because you're on this side of the dirt, which is on the side of life, light, and health. So I thank you and I say good morning to you. Hopefully I can get a good morning back, just so I know that you are alive and it's not just a mystery that's looking at me because I'm looking at you. But again, like always, I start with gratitude. I start with appreciation. And I start just saying to you, morning and peace. All right. So yesterday, of course, we talked about fear less and feel more. So feel more and feel less was a very good segment. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Bowens. Welcome back. Starting to become a regular. Feel more and fear less was pretty good. It was pretty dope. It was very transparent. And I think this is a great follow-up for what we spoke about yesterday. Results take time. It really does. I mean, that's like a so real statement, because a lot of times we try to force things to happen because we feel that it should happen on our own time, or we feel it should happen right now, or we feel like, man, I worked for this, I want it right now, or it should have happened by now. I want you to know that results take time. So if you understand that results take time, go ahead and put the word results inside the chat, because it's going to take time, because sometimes it may take you to look at it or to hear it or to see it or to hear somebody else say it in order for you to say, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to relax. I'm going to know and acknowledge that this result is going to take time. So I'm not going to force it. I'm going to let it take its course. That results take time. All right, before we jump into it, what I want you to do is go ahead and take this live right now. Those that are watching it on Facebook, those that are watching it on YouTube, and those who are going to be listening to the replay on the podcast distribution, whether it's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, what else? Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, whatever it is that you're listening to it on the replay, just make sure you share it, because we're going to be touching some things. We're going to be pushing some buttons today, because, you know, a lot of time we get impatient, and that's an honest space, because being impatient could come from our anxieties, like we spoke about yesterday. Being anxious could put you in a place that you probably shouldn't have been in the first place, trying to force something to make it happen. Your anxious or your anxieties put you in a place that you probably would be become detrimental to your process, because you being anxious put you in a place of despair. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it while we're here, because results definitely take time. All right, so for those who may be new to the platform, you're going to get definitions of the words. You're going to get the inversions: red over white, white over red. If I say red over white, focus on the red. If I say white over red, if I say red over white, focus on the red. If I say white over red, you focus on the white. Too easy? All right, bet. All right, so if you're listening to it on a podcast, and if you ever want to see what I'm talking about, go to the YouTube channel, Consistency is Currency, and you're able to see it. and you're not just hearing it, you can see it real time. We perform live 7:30 in the morning. All right, so that's enough time talking about it. So let's go ahead and jump into it right now. Results. One of the definition of results, it says something that ensues from an action, policy, course of events, outcome, consequence, right? Something that ensues from an action, policy, course of events, outcome, consequence. So what I want you to focus on right now is the inversion is red over white, which is something that ensues from an action. Something that ensues from an action. So imagine yourself as a farmer, which we're all natural farmers. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we all plant seeds. We're natural farmers. We plant seeds. It doesn't always have to be you taking a tangible seed and putting it into the ground because now you want to grow collard greens, or you taking a natural seed and putting it into the ground because you want to have an apple tree in the back. I'm talking about you sow seeds into hope. You sow your seeds of your vision. You sow seeds of dreams, whatever it is. Something that ensues from an action because you've made a decision. It ensues from that action. It is a result that occurs from that action. So the second definition, well, before we get into the second, I want you to pay attention to something, because a lot of times people see the word consequence and they look at it from a perspective of negativity. That's like the ultimate negativity bias when they look at the word consequence. Like, consequence, oh man, well, what happened? Like, it's not always bad. Right? Consequence doesn't always carry a negative connotation. So again, the first definition of result is something that ensues from an action, policy, course of events, outcome, or consequence. The inversion is something that ensues from an action, like what happened after you apologize, what happened after you told the truth, what happened after you started the paperwork to start your business, or what happened after you had that thought and you started to do the research, or you took that PMP class and now you graduated. It is a result of what you put into it, of what type of work you put into it, or what process began. It is the result of it. So let's go with the second definition of result. The second definition says a desirable or beneficial consequence, outcome, or effect. So the inversion on this is white over red. So that means you're paying attention and you're focusing on the white. So it says a desirable or beneficial consequence. That's what we're focusing on right now, because I want you to focus on the resilient side of consequence, because it is a beneficial consequence. It is a desirable consequence. Because if you put the work in, don't you feel that the results should be something favorable, just like the work that you put in? You put in the work that is going to be beneficial to the harvest. You're not going to plant the seeds and start digging them up and wondering why you have no harvest during the season, or why the season hasn't begun to show itself. You've studied, but you're trying to figure out why your grades don't reflect, because now you're looking at the desirable and the beneficial consequence. So in the first definition, there was a word I want to make sure that we all understand, the word of ensue. So ensues, the definition of ensues is happened or occurred afterward or as a result. So the inversion that we're looking at is red over white, which is happened or occurred afterward. That means you still have a responsibility. It's like people saying, oh, I got the faith. I got the faith the size of a mustard seed. Okay, now what? You have identified that you have the faith. Cool. Just like it says, faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That means there is substance that you brought to the process. There is some tangible action that you had to take in order for the process to process. Just because you have the faith to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's over. Because even when it says faith without works is dead, that means that you have something to do even after you have committed yourself and you've committed yourself to the faith that is going to happen. Now you have to say, I still have work to do. I still have to study. I still have to get up in the morning. I still have to go running. I have faith that I'm going to lose 5 pounds. It doesn't necessarily mean you get up in the morning and you do whatever you're going to do on Monday, and then you don't do it Tuesday, you don't do it Wednesday, you do nothing on Thursday, and you wonder why Friday the results of the action that you started on Monday has no fruit. It bears no fruit. Only because you did not continue the process of the original work or the original seed that you put into it. Man, let's results take time. Take time in inside the chat and let's talk about this side, right? People say time is of the essence. Yeah, it is. Time is of the essence. But you still have a responsibility in the time that you take. You still have a responsibility in the time that you make. You still have a responsibility of acknowledging time and not putting that time off on someone else, because if the results is based off or based on the work that you put into it, then you have to understand that the time that you put into it is even a part of the results. I've studied, but I didn't continue to study. I started, but I didn't keep it going. I sat down and I learned, but I didn't create a habit. I didn't create a process because I didn't take the time to acknowledge that the work still has to be done. I didn't take the time to understand that I still have work to do. I didn't take the time to acknowledge that I'm ready to begin the process, because results only happens after the process has started. So let's take this deep dive real quick, right? So let's just talk about it real quick. So you see the question that's proposed right there in the lower thirds. Do you believe that results take time? If so, let me hear your point of view. What's your point of view on why you feel results take time? And be as transparent as possible. And that can be like a question that you can ask your circle today. Like, man, how you see results take time? Or do you feel that results take time? So because we understand that results take time, taking the time to even acknowledge that allows you to establish clear priorities. Because now you can say, okay, I know results take time. Am I still eating properly? Am I still drinking water? Am I still exercising? Right? Because you have uh, developed a conscience of, I want to be here by when. So therefore, I need to establish my clear priorities. I know that I need to do this thing, not just once, but I need to establish a schedule or a time to do it in order for the results to bear fruit of the actions that I put into it. So we find ourselves sometimes feeling anxious because we're surrounded by so many opportunities and priorities that we can easily be sucked into activities that has nothing to do with our purpose. And it drains us of our energy and it drains us of our resources because we're trying to force this square into a circle. Trying to force the apple, it's like trying to force this apple into an apple pie, but the apple hasn't even bared any fruit yet. But we want it now. We wanted it yesterday. Results take time. So when you begin the process of developing that understanding that results take time, begin the process of developing your perseverance. Begin the process of knowing that it's gonna be okay. I'm still gonna do what I need to do. It's gonna come. I want to build wealth in my family. So now I got to keep doing what I need to do. I got to make sure my credit is right. I need to make sure that I'm teaching my children about credit. I need to make sure that my circle of influence that I have around me, that we're all talking about wealth. So I'm developing that perseverance as well as I'm developing the circles that I surround myself with. Because if I am building wealth, I need to make sure that the circles around me is having those types of wealth conversations, because now if we're going to close a gap, then we must close the gap between what we think and what we do. And then after you begin to develop that type or that level of perseverance, now you have to begin to produce those productive habits and healthy thoughts. That means that you're not sabotaging your results by telling yourself that, man, this is taking too long. I mean, we've all said it, right? We've all said it. I've said it, you said it, your mama done said it, your cousin said it, your auntie said it. We've all said it at a point of time. But when you grow and you mature and you develop, that's when you were like, you know what, results take time, but it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. I need to make sure that I'm in the right space. I need to make sure that my health is all right. I need to make sure that my thoughts are clear. I need to make sure that what I do is still going to be beneficial to the results that I want. I need to make sure that I'm doing what is required of me in order for this thing to come out healthy. Just like when it says you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. So therefore, even after you even after you plant the seed, you still have work to do. You still need to make sure that the pesticides on the tree is taken care of. You still need to make sure that you have to go out there and prune the rose bush just so the rose can actually look like you want it to look. You're developing those productive habits. Because if the result is ever going to be what you want it to be, there has to be a continued process before the end state. And after you have conduct or produced those healthy habits and those healthy thoughts, acknowledge your capacity. Yes, you're built for this. Don't ever let anybody tell you you're not built for this. You have it. You've succeeded before. You've made things happen before. You've graduated before. Someone told you yes before. Someone told you great job before. So why, when you're in this moment in your waiting period, why is this one so hard for you? You've developed the capacity of gratitude. You've developed the capacity of being patient. So now it is just time for you to do it again. Acknowledge that you know what being resilient is. Because being resilient is going to allow you to know that because it takes time, I am okay with it. Right? I am okay with it. I'm still going to do what I need to do. I'm still going to show up because I need to. I'm still going to, like I always say, practice what perfect peace is, because my perfect peace don't have to look like your perfect peace, because whatever allows me to be at peace, that is what allows me to be at peace, because it makes me feel happy and it allows me to understand that it is not on your timing, it is on my timing. And acknowledging your capacity of being patient allows you to be peaceful. That's a lot of P's. But you have to acknowledge that you have it. You're not waiting for somebody to give it to you, because that's theirs. That's their time. If they've ensued to make orange juice, so then they have to do something with that seed. They have to plant it. Well, they have to ensure that the ground that they put it in is fertile. They have to ensure that they've planted how it's supposed to be planted. And they have to ensure that once the harvest takes place, that they're there to ensure that it is ripe enough to go ahead and pull it. And it's clean and it's healthy. And then you're able to purchase a machine. And then now you put the oranges in there and now you make the juice. But acknowledge that you've had the mental capacity to know what to do when it comes, to know what to do when the results take place. Because honestly, let's look at it this way. We were not built to be rescued at first sight. We were not. Because if we were built to be rescued at first sight, we were not built to be rescued at first sight of discomfort. Because if we were built to be rescued at the first sight of discomfort, none of us will be walking right now. We walk upright and we walk how we walk because the result of us walking took time. If you've ever had a child and you see your child trying to walk, you're going to stand there. You're going to watch it. Yeah, you'll feel excited and all this other stuff, especially when it's his first steps, his or her first steps. Yeah, you're going to like it. You're going to be happy. And when the child falls, what are you going to say? Get back up. Because that child is going to acknowledge that, okay, I took one step. Now let me take another one. Now we got some kids like mine. The Joker's tried to run the first time, but still those results took time because our body naturally wants to recover itself. Just like if you cut yourself, the body begins the process of self-healing because the result of being healed takes time, but you acknowledge what the pain looks like, feels like, and know that once the sore begins to scab, that means the result of healing took place. So Why do we feel that when we are in pain, the healing comes quickly? It takes time. Your goals take time. Because it took time for you to develop a skill set. It took time for you to learn or to acknowledge that you had this skill set. Some of us, it took time for us to acknowledge that we had a gift. And now the results of our gift is what people see. Because that's where the vision comes from. The vision comes from seeing. Just like we spoke about this past day, 2 eyes, but it can only be seen by those who see it, which is vision. But the result of the vision is the harvest. So just keep working. Keep being patient. Keep studying, because the harvest is going to come. The harvest is going to be here. The harvest is going to do what it's supposed to do. And when you get into that moment and to acknowledge that results take time, it's going to become easier for you to do it again. It's going to be easier for you to duplicate that process, because you've figured out that you had the capacity to acknowledge that time is okay and my results are on the way. Oh, that's bars. Time is okay and the results are on the way. So whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're working towards, results take time. Just keep studying. Just keep at your craft. Just keep designing, keep developing, keep writing, keep drawing, whatever it is, just keep at it, because what you're doing is you're perfecting your skills. You're developing new talent. So now when those results show, now you've developed the capacity to do it again, because you've learned along the way. And as you learn along the way, you now can duplicate that process, because now you got a blueprint. You got a blueprint on how you manifest your thoughts until it's physical form. You got a blueprint on what happens after you started. You got a blueprint on what to do once the harvest is here. You got a blueprint on what to do when it's time to go to market, because you've acknowledged that time is something that is real, but the results only become tangible when you make it real to you. All right, man, today's Friday. Y'all be blessed. I'm Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Y'all be blessed. Peace.